Dr. Emma Vale knelt in the crimson dust of Kepler-7, her gloved hands trembling as she brushed away millennia of sediment from what appeared to be a perfect crystalline structure. The artifact hummed with an inner light that seemed to pulse, in rhythm with her heartbeat, casting dancing shadows across the excavation site. "This doesn't match anything in our databases," whispered Dr. James Park, her lead xenorchaeologist, as he adjusted his scanner for the third time. "The material composition is completely unknown. It's like it exists outside our understanding of physics." Emma's team had been working this dig for 8 months, following reports of unusual energy readings from the planet's northern continent. What they'd found buried beneath layers of volcanic ash defied explanation, a dodecahedron of translucent crystal, each face etched with symbols that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. "The pattern recognition software can't lock onto the inscriptions," reported Lisa Chen, their linguistics expert. "Every time it tries to analyze them, they alter slightly. It's as if the artifact is actively resisting our attempts to understand." Emma stood, wiping sweat from her brow as Kepler-7's binary suns climbed higher in the alien sky. She'd spent her entire career studying the remnants of dead civilizations, but this felt different. This felt alive. "Dr. Vale," called out Marcus Webb from across the excavation pit, "you need to see this." The energy readings just spiked. She hurried over to where Marcus crouched beside his equipment array. The displays showed energy patterns. Unlike anything in their textbooks, waves of power that seemed to be building towards something. "It's waking up," Marcus said, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma felt drawn to the artifact with an intensity that surprised her. Every instinct honed by years of careful scientific methodology told her to proceed with caution, to document everything before making physical contact. But something deeper, something primal, urged her forward. "Everyone step back," she commanded, though her eyes never left the crystalline structure. "If this thing is as old as our carbon dating suggests, we're looking at technology that predates every known civilization by millions of years." The artifact's glow intensified, and Emma could swear she heard something, not with her ears, but somewhere deeper. A calling, a recognition against every protocol, against every safety measure they'd established. Emma reached out and placed her palm flat against the crystal surface. The moment her skin made contact, the world exploded into light. The artifact erupted with energy that sent shockwaves through the dig site. Equipment scattered like leaves in a hurricane, but Emma remained frozen in place, her hands seemingly fused to the crystal surface. Power coursed through her, and for a terrifying, exhilarating moment, she felt connected to something vast and ancient. Images flooded her mind, star systems beyond counting, civilizations that had risen and fallen before humanity had even discovered fire, and most shocking of all, glimpses of other beings who looked remarkably like her own species scattered across the galaxy. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the energy surge ended. Emma collapsed to her knees, gasping, as the artifact settled into a steady, rhythmic pulse. "Emma!" James rushed to her side, but she held up a hand to stop him. "It's broadcasting," she whispered, staring at the now active artifact. "It's sending a signal into space. A signal that's been waiting millions of years for someone like us to activate it." Above them, invisible to the naked eye, an ancient transmission pierced the cosmos at faster than light speeds, carrying with it the genetic signature of humanity and the coordinates of their homeworld. For the first time in galactic history, humanity had announced its presence to the universe. Every great journey starts with a few brave explorers. Sci-fi stellar conflict is just beginning, and your support means everything. If you're hungry for HFY battles and tales of human valor against alien might, hit subscribe. It's free, and it helps us bring these frontlines to you. In the depths of space, monitoring stations of a dozen different species detected the transmission. Ancient protocols, dormant for eons, suddenly activated. The galaxy's most powerful civilizations turned their attention toward a small, unremarkable system in the Orion Arm. Humanity had just become the galaxy's biggest mystery. 3 weeks after the artifact's activation, the edge of the Sol system erupted with spatial distortions. Massive ships, their hulls gleaming with technologies humanity couldn't begin to comprehend, materialized from hyperspace jumps that bent reality itself. Admiral Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station, watching her tactical displays with growing alarm. The alien vessels were unlike anything in their science fiction organic curves merged with crystalline structures, ships that seemed to grow rather than be built. 12 vessels, Admiral, reported Commander Jake Rodriguez, his voice tight with barely controlled tension. The largest is approximately 15 kilometers in length. They're maintaining position at the system's edge, but their energy signatures are ... significant. Significant how? Mitchell demanded. Enough to glass every planet in the solar system. Simultaneously, the alien fleet had arrived with no warning, no communication, no hostile action, but their mere presence sent waves of panic through Earth's governments. Humanity had been alone in the universe for its entire history. Now suddenly, they were not. On the lead alien vessel, Harmony's Edge, Ambassador Keth of the Galactic Council stood before a massive viewing screen displaying the primitive world that had somehow activated a builder artifact. The Vorthok diplomat's 4 arms gestured in complex patterns as he communicated with his diverse crew. Remarkable, he transmitted to his aide, the insectoid Zara. This species achieved interplanetary travel without any contact with galactic civilization. They developed independently. Dangerous, clicked Zara in response. Independent development often leads to aggressive expansion. The Hive Collective conquered 40 systems before we contained them. Keth's emerald eyes studied the blue-green world below. Perhaps, but they activated a builder artifact. In 10,000 years of galactic history, no species has successfully interfaced with builder technology, not even the ascended ones. The Council had ruled the galaxy for millennia, maintaining peace between hundreds of species through careful diplomacy and overwhelming force where necessary. They were explorers, philosophers, and warriors who had achieved a delicate balance between growth and stability, but the signal from Kepler-7 had changed everything. Incoming transmission from the planet, announced Zara, her mandibles clicking with curiosity. Primitive electromagnetic waves. They're attempting to communicate. Put it through, Keth commanded. The voice that emerged from their translators was nervous but determined. Unknown vessels, this is Admiral Sarah Mitchell of the United Earth Defense Forces. We ... We welcome you to our system. We come in peace and hope to establish peaceful relations. Keth's translator worked to convert his thoughts into the crude electromagnetic signals these humans used. Greetings, Admiral Mitchell. I am Ambassador Keth of the Galactic Council. We have traveled far to meet your species. In the hours that followed, first contact protocols that had been refined over millennia played out in real time. The humans were primitive by galactic standards. They still used chemical rockets and had barely established colonies on their neighboring worlds. But they were intelligent, curious, and remarkably adaptable. They want to know about the artifact, Keth reported to the Council through quantum communications. They don't understand what they activated. Nor do we, came the reply from Council. Chambers on Nexus Prime. The builders vanished before any of our species achieved sentience. Their technology is beyond our comprehension. Keth watched as human shuttles approached his vessel, their pilots showing remarkable courage in the face of the unknown. These beings had spent less than a century in space, yet they flew toward ships that could have been built by gods. Permission to come aboard? Admiral Mitchell's voice crackled through their communications. Granted, Keth replied, then turned to his crew. Prepare the diplomatic bay. We're about to make history. As the human delegation boarded Harmony's Edge, Keth couldn't shake the feeling that this first contact would reshape everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. The builder artifact had chosen these humans specifically, and the builders had never done anything without purpose. In the deepest archives of the Council, automated systems began searching through records millions of years old, looking for any reference to the species that had just announced itself to the galaxy. What they would find would change the course of galactic history. The humans were not newcomers to the cosmos. They were something far more significant and far more dangerous. The diplomatic bay of Harmony's Edge fell silent as Admiral Mitchell and her team stepped through the airlock. The humans found themselves in a chamber that defied their understanding of physics. Gravity seemed to flow in gentle curves, and the walls themselves appeared to be made of living light. Ambassador Keth approached. His tall, graceful form moving with the fluid precision of a being born to low gravity. His forearms gestured in welcome while his emerald eyes studied the humans with barely concealed fascination. "Your species is remarkable," Keth said, his voice carrying harmonics that their translators couldn't quite capture. "You've achieved spaceflight without any guidance from galactic civilization. Most species require intervention to develop beyond their home worlds." Dr. Emma Vale, who had been brought from Kepler-7 as humanity's expert on the artifact, stepped forward. "We're fast learners, but we're more interested in understanding what we've stumbled into. The artifact ... It's been sending signals for weeks now." Keth's expression grew troubled. "Signals to locations throughout the galaxy. Ancient coordinates that correspond to builder sites we've never been able to activate. Your Dr. Vale's touch has awakened technology that has been dormant for millions of years." "The builders?" Admiral Mitchell asked. "The first galactic civilization," Keth explained, leading them deeper into the ship. "They vanished before any of our species achieved spaceflight. We've found their ruins on 1,000 worlds, but never understood their technology. Until now." They entered a chamber where a holographic display showed the galaxy in 3 dimensions, with pulsing points of light scattered across the spiral arms. Emma gasped as she recognized the pattern. It matched the vision she'd experienced when touching the artifact. "These are all builder sites," Keth continued, "and they're all responding to the signal your artifact transmitted. After millions of years of silence, they're waking up." Dr. Marcus Webb, who had accompanied Emma from the dig site, studied the display with growing excitement. "The energy patterns are identical to what we recorded on Kepler-7. But why would ancient alien technology respond to human touch?" Keth's aide Zara clicked her mandibles nervously. "There are theories. Dangerous theories that the Council has debated for millennia." "Such as?" Mitchell pressed. "That the builders didn't vanish," Keth said quietly. "That they evolved beyond physical form, or ... quotes." He paused, his emerald eyes fixed on Emma. "That they scattered their genetic legacy across the galaxy before disappearing." Emma felt a chill run down her spine. "You think humans are related to the builders?" "The artifact responds to your touch alone," Keth replied. "We've tested it with genetic material from every known species. Only humans can activate builder technology." The implications hit the human delegation like a physical blow. They weren't just a newly discovered species. They were potentially the descendants of the galaxy's most advanced civilization. "There's more," Zara added, her translator converting her clicks into words. "The signals your artifact sent weren't just activation codes. They were ... summons, calling something back." Before anyone could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. Keth's crew rushed to their stations as tactical displays showed new contacts materializing throughout the galaxy. "Ships," Keth breathed, studying the readouts. "Ships of unknown design, emerging from hidden bases near builder sites. They're moving toward inhabited systems." Emma approached the central display, her hand hovering over the holographic controls. "May I?" Keth nodded, and Emma placed her palm against the interface. Immediately, the display exploded with information charts, vessel specifications, crew complements of beings that looked remarkably human, but somehow ... more. "These aren't aliens," Emma whispered, her face pale. "These are humans. Humans who never forgot their heritage." The revelation struck the assembled beings like a thunderbolt. Humanity wasn't a newcomer to the galaxy. They were the scattered remnants of its first great civilization, finally awakening after millions of years of dormancy. In the depths of space, ancient human vessels began their journey toward the stars, carrying technologies that could reshape the galaxy. The question was no longer whether humanity belonged among the stars, but whether the galaxy was ready for humanity's return. Builders had come home. The news of humanity's potential connection to the builders sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. On Nexus Prime, the Council's governing body convened an emergency session, their debates echoing through chambers that had witnessed 10,000 years of peaceful deliberation. General Voss of the Karath hegemony slammed his massive fist on the council table, his scarred features twisted with rage. "We cannot allow this. If these humans truly carry builder genetics, they could overthrow the entire galactic order. The builder artifacts are responding to them, countered Counselor Nara of the Peaceful Collective, her melodic voice carrying across the chamber. This could be the greatest scientific discovery in galactic history, or the greatest threat, Voss growled. The builder's technology is beyond our comprehension. In human hands, it could be turned against us. While the council debated, General Voss had already made his decision. The Korath battle fleet, humanity's most aggressive military force, moved toward the Sol system with devastating intent. On Earth, Dr. Emma Vale stood in her laboratory, surrounded by holographic displays showing the artifact's continuing transformations. Since her initial contact, the crystalline structure had grown, sending out tendrils of living light that seemed to be scanning for something. "The readings are incredible," Dr. Marcus Webb reported, his voice filled with wonder. "The artifact isn't just sending signals, it's rewriting the quantum structure of space around it. It's creating dot-dot pathways." Emma nodded, her hand pressed against a smaller crystal formation that had grown from the original artifact. Through it, she could sense the presence of other awakened sites across the galaxy, and something approaching. "We have company," she whispered. Admiral Mitchell's voice crackled through the laboratory's communication system. "All stations, we have multiple hostile contacts entering the system. Unknown ship types, but they're broadcasting Korath military codes." Emma felt a surge of energy flow through the artifact and into her. Images flooded her mind: Korath warships, their weapons charging, their intent clear. But she also sensed something else. The ancient human vessels were closer than anyone realized. "Admiral," Emma called out, her voice carrying a strange harmonic quality that made everyone in the room turn to stare. "Don't engage, we have allies coming." "Allies?" Mitchell's voice was strained. "Emma, we're facing a fleet of warships. Our entire Space Force consists of 6 patrol vessels and a handful of orbital stations." But Emma was no longer listening to the human communications. Through the artifact, she could hear other voices, human voices that carried the wisdom of millennia and the power of technologies beyond current understanding. "The heirs have awakened," came a voice that seemed to speak directly into her mind. "The sleepers remember their purpose. We are coming." General Voss's fleet emerged from hyperspace with weapons already charging. The Korath had built their reputation on swift, overwhelming force, and Voss intended to eliminate the human threat before it could fully manifest. "All ships, target the planet's major population centers," Voss commanded from the bridge of his flagship. "These humans will not live to claim their builder heritage." But as the Korath fleet moved into attack formation, space itself began to ripple. Reality twisted as vessels that defied physics materialized from hidden dimensions, ships that seemed to be grown rather than built, their hulls pulsing with the same energy as the builder artifacts. Emma felt the artifact's power surge through her, and suddenly she could see everything: the Korath fleet, the approaching human vessels, and the quantum pathways that connected every builder's site across the galaxy. She was no longer just Dr. Emma Vale, archaeologist. She was a conduit for something far greater. "Open communications to all ships," she commanded, her voice carrying impossible authority. When the channel opened, her words reached every vessel in the system, human and alien alike. But the voice that emerged was no longer entirely her own. It carried harmonics that spoke of vast ages and accumulated wisdom. "General Voss," she said, her words reaching across the void. "You fear us because you do not understand. We are not conquerors. We are gardeners, returning to tend the garden we planted long ago." The Korath general's response was predictable: weapons fire. But as the energy beams struck the approaching human vessels, they simply absorbed the attacks, their hulls glowing brighter with each impact. "Impossible," Voss snarled. "No technology can simply absorb our weapons." Emma smiled, feeling the artifact's power flow through her. "You're thinking too small, General. We don't use technology. We are technology." The ancient human vessels began their response, and General Voss learned too late that some challenges should never be issued. The space around Sol system became a light show that would be remembered for millennia. The ancient human vessels didn't fire weapons in any conventional sense. Instead, they sang. Harmonics that vibrated through the quantum foam itself reached out to touch the Korath fleet, and where they touched, ships simply ... stopped. General Voss found his flagship systems shutting down one by one, not through damage, but through a kind of gentle insistence that violence was unnecessary. His weapons went offline, his shields dissipated, and his engines reduced to a gentle hum. "What have you done to us?" he demanded over the communications channels. "We've reminded your ships of their purpose," came the reply from the lead human vessel. The voice belonged to Commander Elena Thorne, a woman who looked human, but carried herself with the confidence of someone who had seen the birth and death of civilizations. "All technology in this galaxy carries traces of Builder quantum signatures. We simply asked your ships to remember their original programming." On Earth, Emma Vale felt the full weight of her species' heritage settling into her consciousness. The artifact had become a living extension of her nervous system, connecting her to the awakened sights across the galaxy and to the humans who had never forgotten their true nature. "We are the Builders," she said, her words carrying across every communication channel in the system. "We are the ones who seeded the galaxy with life, who established the pathways between stars, who created the very foundations of galactic civilization." Ambassador Keth, watching from Harmony's edge, felt his understanding of the universe shift. "But the Builders vanished millions of years ago." "How can you be?" "We never vanished," Elena Thorne interrupted gently. "We evolved. Some of us transcended physical form entirely. Others, like those on Earth, chose to forget our nature and experience the universe as if we were seeing it for the first time. We wanted to understand what it meant to be mortal, to struggle, to grow." The implications were staggering. The Galactic Council had spent millennia trying to understand Builder technology, never realizing they were studying the artifacts of a species that still existed hidden in plain sight as the galaxy's most recent addition. "The sleeping phase is over," Emma continued, her voice now carrying harmonics that made the very air sing. "The signal from Kepler-7 was not just an activation code, it was a call to remember. Across the galaxy, humans who have lived ordinary lives are beginning to recall their true nature." As if to emphasize her point, reports began flooding in from across human space. Construction workers were suddenly able to repair impossible machines by touch alone. Physicists were solving equations that had puzzled them for decades. Artists were creating works that seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions. "We are not conquerors," Elena Thorne said, her ship moving closer to the stunned Korath fleet. "We are gardeners. We planted the seeds of civilization across the galaxy, and now we return to see what has grown." General Voss, his worldview crumbling around him, found his voice. "If you're so powerful, why allow conflict? Why not simply rule?" Emma's laugh carried joy and ancient sadness in equal measure. "Because growth requires struggle. Because wisdom comes from making mistakes. Because the most beautiful gardens are those that grow wild." The artifact on Kepler-7 pulsed with final recognition, and suddenly Emma could see the entire galaxy as it truly was, not a collection of separate species competing for resources, but a vast garden where every form of life was a unique expression of the same underlying creative force. "The Builders didn't vanish," she said, her words reaching every corner of the galaxy through the quantum network they had established eons ago. "We just stepped back to let our children grow. And now that you've grown strong enough, it's time for us to work together." In the space around Sol, the ancient human vessels began to glow with the same light as the Builder artifacts. But instead of weapons or conquest, they offered something far more valuable: knowledge. The secrets of faster-than-light travel, of energy manipulation, of technologies that could heal worlds and bridge the gaps between species. Humanity had not announced itself to the galaxy as conquerors or even as equals. They had revealed themselves as the galaxy's elder siblings, returning home after a long journey to find their family had grown beyond their wildest dreams. The age of the Builders was beginning again, but this time they would not build alone. The garden they had planted across the stars was ready to help them tend itself. Emma Vale, archaeologist turned conduit for an ancient civilization, looked up at the stars with eyes that had suddenly remembered seeing them born. The greatest discovery in galactic history wasn't an ancient artifact or a lost civilization. It was the realization that humanity had never been lost at all. They had simply been waiting for the right moment to come home. In the depths of space, the galaxy itself began to sing with harmonics that spoke of reunion, of family, and of a future where the boundaries between species were revealed to be nothing more than temporary illusions. The builders had returned, and they had brought the galaxy's greatest gift with them, the knowledge that all life was one, and that home was not a place, but a state of consciousness. Humanity's greatest mystery was solved. They were not the galaxy's newest addition. They were its architects, finally ready to build again.